Tonight on Global TV News Prime, federal government calls for critical approach to flood mitigation. In business, Nigeria to host Global Gas Investors Forum leaders in October. On the foreign scene, Egypt, Qatar push fresh Gaza truce plan as Hamas reviews proposal. In sports, Remo Stars adopts Moshood Kashimawo Abiola's Portsmouth for home games ahead of 2025-2026 season. Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwegbe, reminding our viewers that Global TV is on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. Tonight, let's begin by telling you the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has called on government at state and local government levels to challenge the narrative in flood mitigation across the nation. Abbas made the call at the inauguration of the ad hoc Committee on Flood Management and Response in Abuja. We'll bring you those details in a subsequent news broadcast. As Nigeria prepares for the 2027 general election, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma has called on the media to remain fair, balanced, and professional in their coverage. The governor made this appeal while hosting members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, led by its president Eze Anaba, at the government house in Owerri, the state's capital. In many parts of the world, a girl's right to learn is still seen as optional rather than essential. Yet, when you educate a girl, you transform her future and society around her. Our correspondent, Sadiya Yakubu, takes a look at issues that affect not just families, but the entire nation.
Across the globe, more than 120 million girls are out of school. Poverty, early marriage, and cultural norms and poor infrastructure remain major barriers to their education. Behind each statistic is a name, a story, and a future waiting to be unlocked. According to reports from the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, every additional year a girl spends in school can raise her future earnings by up to 20%.
Of course, if you educate a single girl, it's like you have educated the entire society. And being a strong advocate of SDG 3 and SDG 4, I must tell you that we are missing we've already missed the way in Nigeria and especially in Arewa. For the whole entire populace, education is very essential. Particularly as regarded to our female you are asking about now. Yeah. You know, if you train your daughter or a female child very well, you will enjoy it at later date. One, they are mothers, they take care of the children, they take care of the husband, the parent, and we can't do without a female child in society. Without female child, the system is not complete.
Girl child, I think there's this power every woman possesses that men cannot deny. And so many men are coming to realize it right now that it's very, very important to train their girl child.
In countries where girls complete secondary school, child mortality rates drop sharply. Educated women are also more likely to send their children to school, breaking cycles of poverty that have lasted generations.
When we educate girls, we empower future mothers, leaders, and entrepreneurs. The ripple effect goes far beyond the classroom. Initiatives like scholarship, safe transport, and mentorship programs are making education more accessible, because when you educate a girl child, you don't just change her life, you change the world. Sadiya Yakubu, Global Television.
Thank you so very much for helping us highlight this all-important, timeless issue. Sadiya Yakubu there reporting for us. The federal government says Nigeria has recorded a major victory in the war against terrorism following the arrest of top leaders of the notorious Ansaru Group and Al-Qaeda affiliates operating in the country. At a press briefing in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, confirmed the capture of Mahmoud Muhammad Usman, also known as Abu Bara, the self-styled emir of Ansaru, alongside his deputy, Mahmoud Al-Nigeri, alias Malam Mahmouda. Over to our defense correspondent, Kikalomo Okere.
The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, reveals that the arrests were made during a series of intelligence-led counter-terrorism operations carried out between May and July 2025. The NSA reveals that both men had long been on the wanted list of Nigeria, the United States, the United Kingdom, and the United Nations for orchestrating terrorist attacks, kidnapping, and armed robberies to finance terrorism.
Their operations include the 2022 Kuje prison break, the attack on the Nigerian Iranian facility, the 2013 abduction of French engineer Francis Olog in Katsina, the May 1st, 2029 kidnapping of Ahmed Musa Uba, and so many other terrorist incidents and attacks. They are also behind the abduction of the enemy of power, and they maintain active links with terrorist groups across the Maghreb.
Ribadu described the development as one of the most significant counter-terrorism successes in Nigeria history. He urged citizens to remain vigilant and continue providing timely information to security agencies. The Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, applauded the efforts of the security agencies, stressing that the Tinubu administration remains committed to safeguarding lives and property.
And second, to you, I have maintained consistently that you do not give civil authorities or your attendants to these terrorist criminals who are trying day and night to make sure that all of us do not find a place to sleep in this country. The gentlemen who are always seated here are trying day and night to ensure that all of us sleep in our homes.
Idris also cautioned the Nigerian media against amplifying the activities of the terrorists, urging journalists to instead highlight the sacrifice of security forces. Kikelomo Ukiri, Global Television News.
Oh, thank you, Kikelomo. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has returned to Nigeria, putting to rest rumors circulating on social media about his health. Akpabio arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, in the early hours of today at about 4 a.m. He was received at the presidential wing by senators, aides, and supporters. Tosi Gimba has the rest of the story.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, returned to Nigeria following a widespread speculation online that he was critically ill and hospitalized in London. Speaking to journalists at the airport, the President of the Senate dismissed the reports, describing them as baseless and a product of misinformation.
There were lots and lots of rumors. Where is the Senate President? so I said, oh, I thought people didn't love me. so I had thousands of calls from everywhere. And I kept saying, I'm okay, I'm okay. And they said, are you sure? Are you sure? One particular area, I won't mention in them, is Royal Majesty. He said, okay, if you're okay, put it on video. No video, he said, put it on video, let me see your face. So I did, and we started laughing. He said, okay, I'm satisfied.
Before his London vacation, Akpabio had attended the 6th World Conference of Speakers of Parliament in Geneva, Switzerland, where he said Nigeria played a significant role in promoting democratic governance and strengthening collaboration among government institutions.
So the presence of Nigeria was very well felt. And I must say it wasn't a normal international parliamentary union meeting. This was something that happens once every 5 years. This was a world meeting of heads of parliaments and speakers all over the world. So I would say the world was there. And every country was given the opportunity to say one or two things. Myself and the speaker, we did our best.
The President of the Senate further assured Nigerians of renewed legislative drive when the Senate reconvenes from its recess. Topsy Gimba reporting for Global Television News.
Let's turn to other stories tonight. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says the nationwide continuous voter registration exercise has commenced. In a post via its official X handle, the electoral umpire said it has started with the online pre-registration phase, with the commission stating that eligible Nigerians can commence their registration online via the verified portal ahead of the physical registration exercise scheduled to begin on August 25, 2025. In another development, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it is set to release details of political associations that have been shortlisted for registration as political parties following the conclusion of by-elections held across 12 states on Saturday. The Commission, in a statement, confirmed ongoing preparations for the next phase of the registration processes. An ex-National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumeko, stated that a dedicated portal has been created for party registration and applications from various associations are currently under review. The civil society organizations on community advancement and humanitarian empowerment initiatives, a United Nations recognized platform that coordinates and promotes civil society organizations and community-based organizations in the country, has expressed concern over the low voter turnout during Saturday's National and State Assembly by-elections across the country. In a statement released and signed by its Director General, Kunle Yusuf, it says, and called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to adopt a more strategic and proactive communication approach while intensifying voter education efforts to boost citizen participation in future elections. The Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, says it would ensure the clearance of all illegal settlements, especially shanties harboring criminals, and prevent developmental projects in the Federal Capital City. Public Communications and Social Media of the FCTA, Larry Olayinka, made this known in a statement in Abuja, noting that the ongoing onslaught on criminal hideouts in the city will also continue. Olayinka explained that in a bid to ensure a safer Federal Capital Territory administration, the Minister, Nyesom Wike, has set up a stakeholders committee comprising heads of security agencies, FCTA officials, civil society organizations, and Nigerian Union of Journalists. This is Global Television, and tonight you're watching the live broadcast of News Prime with Uyi Agmofwegbe. When the rest of the broadcast returns shortly, Egypt, Qatar push fresh Gaza truce plan as Hamas previews proposal. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories for you. When we return from this break, please don't go away. Well, thank you so very much for staying with us on the news tonight, everyone. Now, the second part of this news broadcast returns with business. The federal government has pledged to reverse deductions from the Employees' Compensation Scheme managed by the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund to ease tensions with the Nigeria Labour Congress following the threat of a nationwide strike by the union. The NLC had accused the federal government of diverting 40% of Social Insurance Trust Fund contributions to the government's treasury. The Labour Congress said the move undermined workers' social protection and demanded both an immediate refund and the full reconstitution of the National Pension Commission Board. It also warned that non-compliance could trigger industrial action across the country. Nigeria will host global gas investors and top industry leaders this October as preparations heighten for the 2025 edition of the Gas Investment Forum. The two-day forum will be headlined by President Bola Tinubu's special advisor on energy, Olu Veriyen, who is expected to deliver the keynote address and serve as chief host. The event director, Osaze Isesele, confirmed the development in a statement issued in Abuja. The Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has warned the public against falling for the antics of fraudsters with regards to the 753 housing units seized by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, which were forfeited to the federal government while taking possession of the estate from the anti-graft agency. Minister of Housing, Ahmed Dangiwa, announced plans by the federal government to sell the houses to interested members of the public through a transparent and competitive process in line with the Renewed Hope agenda. However, in a statement signed by the Director, Press and Public Relations of the Ministry, Badamosi Haiba, in Abuja, the ministry says it had not engaged any individual or corporate entity to sell the unit. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has warned taxpayers against falling for the temptation to hide transactions. With the going live of the new national e-voicing solution, merchant buyer model as transactions monitoring has become easier. This piece of advice was given to gathering of large taxpayers in Lagos State during the just concluded two-day post-launch workshop. Speaking at the workshop, the Acting Director of Tax Automation of the Revenue Service, Mike Adoga, said the Federal Land Revenue Service is in the middle of providing governance and ensuring that every invoice gets a reference number, which is also part of the initiative, as it should be of advantage for taxpayers across the country. In our time to take the news to the foreign scene, where there are now fresh moves to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, with Hamas confirming it has received a new truce proposal from mediators. The plan was delivered in Cairo, where Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati stressed the urgency of reaching an agreement to end the war. Mukhtar Qasim reports.
Abdelati spoke at the Rafah border crossing during the visit of Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani in what was seen as a rare show of joint diplomatic pressure. He said the meeting was aimed at consolidating Arab efforts and applying maximum pressure on both Israel and Hamas to accept the deal. The proposal, drawn up with United States backing, is said to include a 60-day pause in fighting, a phased exchange of hostages for Palestinian detainees, and increased humanitarian access to Gaza.
Are our partners in this process of negotiating a deal to put an end to the current starvation and the attacks on Gaza. So the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister of Qatar is here to, consolidate our existing common efforts in order to apply maximum pressure on the two sides to reach a deal as soon as possible, because, as we mentioned, the current situation on the ground is beyond imagination.
Rights groups continue to warn of catastrophic conditions in Gaza, where food and fuel shortages have left hundreds of thousands displaced, and aid agencies say famine is looming. International observers say the outcome of this Cairo meeting could determine whether the war edges closer to resolution or slides further into stalemate. Mukhtar Qasim, reporting for Global Television News.
Foreign correspondent Mukhtar Qasim, thank you tonight for your reporting from the global scene. Let's continue on the world scene now. New Zealand says it will phase out paper applications for international student visas next month as the government accelerates its transition to a fully digital immigration system. Starting from September 18, all applications for the 6 categories of student visas must be submitted online through Immigration New Zealand's upgraded platform known as ADEPT. The shift follows a current milestone as the country begins automatically directing applicants for English language exchange, fee-paying pathway, and all other services to the new platform. Any applications submitted on the old platform before August 17 will continue to be processed, while draft applications must be finalized and launched by September 17th. The United States Submission has a fresh reminder to visa applicants to provide full disclosure of their social media history when completing the DS-1604 form. The mission, in a tweet on its official X handle, emphasized that applicants must include all usernames or handles used on any platform within the last 5 years. It warned that omission of such information could put future travel plans to the United States at risk. A Russian drone attack on a 5-story apartment block in Kharkiv has killed 5 people, including a toddler, and wounded more than a dozen, reducing part of the building to rubble and sparking multiple fires. As earlier, a ballistic missile had already wounded at least 11 in the same city, while separate drone strikes in Odessa ignited a fuel facility. The attacks come as President Zelensky arrives in Washington for talks with President Trump, saying Ukraine cannot reclaim Crimea or join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, under any peace deal. Let's turn to sports tonight. The Moshood Kashimawo Abiola Sports Arena, Abeokuta, will be Remo Stars' temporary home venue for the 2025-2026 Nigeria Premier Football League NPFL season. Remo Stars announced that their original home ground in Ikene is currently undergoing renovations ahead of their new campaign. The Sky Blue Stars also are seeking the Confederation of African Football (CAF) approval to host their Champions League home games at the Remo Stars Stadium in Ikene. Chelsea have turned down the loan offer from Bayern Munich for their forward Christopher Nkunku. According to reports, the Premier League West London club are only keen on finding a permanent transfer move for the Frenchman this summer. Nkunku is not part of Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca's plans for the season. Again, back home, the Nigeria National League (NNL) has concluded plans to hold its annual general meeting on Wednesday, September 10. The National League disclosed this in a statement signed by the Chief Operating Officer Danlami Alanana, stating that the annual general meeting will take place at the 5th Chuka Resort in Jos, Plateau State. Tonight, we end Global TV News Prime with a look at some of our top stories. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has called on government at states and local levels to challenge the narrative in flood mitigation across the country. In business, Nigeria will host global gas investors and top industry leaders this October as preparations heighten for the 2025 edition of the Gas Investment Forum. And on the foreign scene, there are fresh moves to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, with Hamas confirming it has received a new truce proposal from mediators. Finally, in sports, we told you the Moshood Kashimawo Abiola Sports Arena, Abeokuta, will be Remo Stars' temporary home venue for the 2025-2026 Nigeria Premier Football League season. And that's it on Global TV News Prime tonight. A quick reminder that we are on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. We encourage you, as always, to follow, subscribe, and engage with us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG, as well as other handles as you now see on your screen. On behalf of all my colleagues who have made tonight's news broadcast possible, I am Uyi Agmofwebe saying, as always, we are grateful for your time. Bye-bye.